I'm going to be discussing something that's not talked about a lot in the community. It's actually going to be a video discussing power creep in the series. How recently it slowly started to become an issue. Now I guess I should start the video off with what is power creep and why is it an issue. So this is something that's really common in Shonen Jump specifically, so say the Shonen genre. The issue arises when with each arc you need to introduce strong villains, obviously to up the stakes of the story, to make it more intriguing, to make it more interesting, and way more intense, right? It's to grip the viewers, to make them more invested into the series. But the issue is when you have to do this each arc, and each arc you have to make a villain stronger and stronger, you have to also make the main characters and such stronger and stronger each arc, and it's kind of like a snowball effect where after some time, you know, you have characters being, let's say, strong enough to break a boulder, or they may be like speed of sound or something like that, to where, let's say, come to the final arcs of a lot of stories, they're suddenly faster than light, or they're able to destroy planets. Now, just a few examples: Bleach, One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, Fairy Tail, Seven Deadly Sins, Toriko, and these are just a few examples. It's really common for this to happen in Battle Shonen in particular, because the issue is when these authors write these series, they're writing week to week, or at the very least they're planning from arc to arc. They aren't planning this as a whole story. I mean, it's exactly why, let's say, of Dragon Ball Z, where we know for a fact he was literally making it as he went week to week. As Toriyama said that himself, he just had to keep upping the stakes and how strong characters were. So in Dragon Ball we had characters that were, let's say, strong enough to break a car. By the end of Dragon Ball they can wipe out cities, and then in Dragon Ball Z, in the first arc, they can wipe out planets now, and then in the Cell arcs they can wipe out solar systems, in the Buu arcs they're wiping out galaxies, and then in Dragon Ball Super all of a sudden they're wiping out universes. And I hope that makes it clear that this happens with every shonen, so it's not a specific issue of JJK. Unfortunately, it is something that happens quite a lot, where the power levels just go crazy, you know? Alright, so now you know what power creeping is. Now why is this happening in JJK? In all fairness, JJK starts off, when it introduces the grading system, it says, I think it was actually Satoru Gojo himself who said this, but Gojo says that it's going to become irrelevant later on, and there's going to be too many special grade cursed users or cursed spirits, and it's just going to be a meaningless power scaling system or whatever, you know, inverse power scaling system, because that's what it is. And obviously this is the biggest issue. It's when power levels, especially when you have rating systems like these. So this is an issue, let's say, Fairy Tail has, where all of a sudden every character is way stronger than an S-class mage. Like every character is far beyond that. Or in Black Clover, where everyone is stronger than a Magic Knight captain, at least in the manga right now. Or in Naruto, where in one arc we just have regular ass shinobi, to all of a sudden we're destroying planets. Like it's a massive leap in that final arc. Now what's going on with JJK is that, yes, we get this grading system, so we have like grade 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we have the semi-grades and of course the special grade. And to briefly break it down, basically with each grading system you get stronger, so a grade 1 is stronger than a grade 2, and a grade 2 is stronger than a grade 3. And then of course you have the special grade sorcerers who are just immeasurable, or they can't be measured. Their power is just too immense. And of course there's special grade curses and the special grade sorcerers, but there's a big difference between the two. Because the way it works in JJK, in case you didn't know, it works like a grade 2 sorcerer is able to beat a grade 1 curse, or a grade 1 sorcerer is able to beat a low tier special grade curse spirit, such as how Nobara and Yuji both beat special grades at the end of season 1, or how Todo has been said to beat a special grade sorcerer on many occasions, or even how Mei, though she did have assistance, absolutely bodied the smallpox deity curse spirit, which was special grade, and so on and so forth. Though in the case of JJK, special grade sorcerers, like I said, they are on a completely different level compared to special grade curses. Now the issue with JJK's power creeping is that grade 1 sorcerers were very powerful. They were kind of like the peak of the series, and they were able to do a lot, but then we saw in Shibuya on multiple occasions where in one arc it went from grade 1 sorcerers are supposed to be kind of like the strongest characters in the series, right? All the strongest main characters are all grade 1 sorcerers, and they were the ones who were doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But then all of a sudden in Shibuya, it's just reached this point where grade 1 sorcerers are so fodderized that they literally are just, in Kusakabe's own words, they are just like ants in the middle of two tap dancing elephants. Or if a special grade user just says don't move or I'll kill you, all the grade 1 sorcerers are like, oh shit, let's just not move, you know? Another example is when Ureme showed up, who's easily a special grade cursed user, and just fodderized multiple grade 1 sorcerers like it was just another day in the park. With their ice abilities, they just instantly froze them all over and they just couldn't move. And that was just one of their weaker moves. Ureme was so powerful that they were able to stop the piercing blood with their bare hands. Now of course the poison did affect them, but it's crazy how Ureme does not look like a fighter type. They look more like someone who uses skill more, yet they were able to block it with their bare hands, which, keep in mind, Yuji, the strongest grade 1 sorcerer in terms of physical aspects, I am very confident in saying that he's stronger than Naobito, Mei, or Todo. I just mean in terms of physical strength, right? That's what I mean. And he can't even stop the piercing blood. He literally has to move it out of the way or dodge it, or what he actually did was just deflect it because he just can't stop it raw. But Ureme, a special grade user, able to just casually stop it, like, yep, it's nothing, just with my bare hands. Another example is how Yuta, obviously he's special grade level in base and with Rika, of course. Yuta's base isn't that strong compared to the other high tiers in the series. And if you want a full explanation why, why I explained in my Yuta's overrated video. Please don't get into that in the comments of this video. That's not the point of this video. But I think what we all can agree on though, at the very least, is Yuta's base alone. So I'm saying without Rika, or even without a partially manifested Rika, his base alone is special grade level. It's strong enough that he's able to just blitz and scare all of the grade 1 characters. Naoya, supreme grade 1 sorcerer, one of the strongest grade 1 sorcerers. Choso, who is insanely powerful. I think he was a special grade cursed spirit. And Yuji, who's one of the strongest grade 1 sorcerers too, were all shook and shitting themselves just by base Yuta's presence alone. And then of course, when Yuta met partially manifested Rika, keep in mind, this was not a full manifestation of Rika. The partial manifestation, when Yuji met the partially manifested Rika, he was swaying buckets. It wasn't even the full manifestation, just the partially manifested one. He knew he was dead. Yuji wasn't even fighting back. He just couldn't do anything. Partially manifested Rika held him down. And this is a Yuji who is easily one of the strongest grade 1 sorcerers in the entire series. Well, he's not actually grade 1, but he's on that level with extreme ease. He is on the high end of the grade 1s, at least in my opinion. I mean, you even have people arguing he's special grade. But then when you have base Yuta who's able to just fodderize all these guys, and then let alone characters like Udo or Ryu Ishigori or Kashimo, who scale well above base Yuta, but of course Yuta is stronger than them, since Yuta has obviously Rika and then Mimicry, and he has crazy hacks, right? So Yuta's all good. But then when we're introduced to these powerful ass characters in the Culling game, it's just created this issue that the grade 1 sorcerers who are supposed to be the strongest have just become kind of weak and trash. I mean, even Noritoshi, who's really powerful for a student, he's actually a semi-grade 1 sorcerer. He was literally fodderized and one-shot by now. And even in his own words, he's just become too weak. He's just fallen behind when he says that to Maki. Or then when Mekamaru literally left all of the students who were grade 2 and semi-grade 1, the Kyoto school, he didn't let them go to the Shibuya because he knew they were all gonna die. And now it's come to the point where it's just grade 1 sorcerers are just kind of trash. I mean, even characters like Higuruma, who in base is grade 1 level, with his domain expansion, he's even able to take on characters way stronger than him. So he would probably be able to take on some special grade cursed users, not spirits, users. Because even if they are stronger than him, he could just bring them down to his level with his domain expansion. And then we have absolute monsters like Kashimo, who, keep in mind, Panda is semi-grade 1 confirmed in his gorilla form, and his rhino form has to be at least grade 1 at the bare minimum, since the rhino form is the strongest form and his trump card, right? Kashimo absolutely no-diffed, just no-diffed Panda in a couple seconds. And this goes along the lines of Udame, who's also a special grade level cursed user, was just able to low-diff multiple grade 1 sorcerers. Or how Jogo, who is on another level compared to Haname and Dagon, confirmed by the way, is able to just one-shot any grade 1 sorcerer, though of course there's reasons, because they were all tired out and they were weakened and injured. That's why he was able to get Naname and Naobito off guard. So there is that, but I have no doubt in my mind that he is one-shotting any of those characters. Naobito may be a special case since he is the strongest of all the grade 1 sorcerers in my opinion, but he was just going to be fast enough to maybe dodge a move or two of his, and then Jogo would have just one-shot him anyway. So do you see the point I'm saying? It's that the only relevant characters are characters who are on that extremely high tier, like these special grade sorcerers right now. If Megumi or Yuji were to have gone into the Sendai colony or into Tokyo colony too, they would have gotten their ass cheeks clapped multiple times and would have been put to bed pretty easy. It's kind of brutal, I can't lie. Like Kashimo would have ripped Yuji apart in seconds, or Ishigori or Udo, one of them alone would have absolutely donkey slapped Megumi. Megumi would have summoned the Divine Dogs or whatever. They'd just start beating his ass. It would be absolutely brutal. I mean, there's a reason why they needed to give Yuji Higuruma, where Yuji is kind of like the perfect counter to him since he doesn't have a curse technique or he's strong physically. And even then, Yuji didn't win. Higuruma just ended the fight. He didn't want to fight. He just decided he want to help them. Or with Megumi, where he has to give him characters like Reggie, who's not even strong enough to survive on his own and needs to make groups. Now, I really think Reggie's powerful. I'm actually one of the characters who think Reggie is very high tier. I think in terms of grade 1 sorcerers, he is like top 3, top 4. At least that's where I'd place him, where I think he might even be a match for characters like Naobito and such. But it's like, these are the type of characters you need to give these guys. If they had been placed against really strong ancient sorcerers, like had Kashimo met Megumi, it would have been game over and lights out in seconds. Now, thankfully in JJK's case, the author did say that this is the final arc. Well, okay, not thankfully, I wish JJK would go on longer, but the author said that the Culling games was going to be like the final arc or something. So yes, we're getting really strong characters, but in all defense, it is the final arc and he's trying to ramp up the stakes, right? And it's not going to have any long-term ramification because, well, the series is going to be ending after this Culling games arc, so, you know. But this is what I mean by grade 1 sorcerers are trash and weak. That it's come to the point where if you put any of these grade 1 sorcerers against Kashimo, or Ryu Ishigori, or Udo, or Jogo, or whatever, they're getting absolutely clapped. Like, if Yuji wasn't there, Mahito would have killed Todo in seconds solo with his domain expansion. The only reason he had not started his fight with the domain expansion, or he had to use a 0.2 seconds version of it, was because Yuji was there, who's of course the perfect counter to all his opponents, and it was the perfect counter to Mahito because he had Sukuna in his soul. If not, Mahito would have killed Todo extremely easily. With just domain expansion, GG, it's over. Because he would have just kept it up. I want you to imagine this. If you had put Ryu, Ishigori, or Kashimo, or Udo in the situation that Maki was in when she massacred the Zenin clan, I promise you this, I promise, Kashimo would have done it faster than Maki had. I swear to God, he would have killed every Zenin clan member that Maki fought even faster. And I have no doubt in my mind that Udo or Ryu Ishigori with no difficulty would have done the same. And of course, this is a pretty contentious topic since a lot of people unfortunately don't know how to scale Jujutsu Kaisen correctly, and they fail to realize that the grade 1 sorcerers are barely, and I mean barely, 3-fingered Sukuna level, if that. Definitely not 4 fingers. Like, it's a big stretch to say that the strongest grade 1 sorcerers are stronger than 3-fingered Sukuna. Big stretch. Then we have characters like Haname or Dagon who are potentially 4-5 fingers. Then Jogo, who's around 8-9 fingers. Then Mahoruga, who's around 10-11 fingers. And then Kashimo and Ishigori, who scale around 13 to 15 fingers. Though I don't think they're being 15-fingered Sukuna. They scale to 15-fingered Sukuna. For so many reasons, it's crazy. And each fingered Sukuna is an exponential increase as well. So you have these grade 1 sorcerers who most people think they are not stronger than 4-fingered Sukuna. I've never seen anyone say that. Maybe you could say that at most 3-4 fingers. I mean, even 3 is a stretch, but you could say that they could put up a good fight against 3-fingered Sukuna. Maybe they could win. Compared to characters like Kashimo and Ishigori or Udo, who are well above even 8-9-fingered Sukuna. It's just an unfortunate reality that these grade 1 sorcerers have become extremely fodderized. As has been said by every character. I mean, even Noritoshi himself, who's semi-grade 1, said it himself. Now, it's not that they don't have their uses, though they can't be the main point of action. At the very least, they can be some sort of support, as we saw Noritoshi try to support Maki. But the moment Naoya went into his final transformation, Noritoshi was of no support. He just got one shot on Blitz. Like, he was barely any support for the cursed womb version of Naoya. The moment Naoya transformed, and now is presumably stronger than Jogo. Keep in mind, that's just my theory, since we just saw Naoya transform, at least when I'm reading right now. If you're watching this in the future, you'll probably know how strong Naoya is, you'll have a better idea. But he's just getting fodderized to just an insane level once Naoya transformed into his final state. Like I said, it's not that they're not going to be of use. They could have their uses in support situations, but I mean, even then it's a stretch, because right now the characters in the Culling games are just too strong. But one thing I will say to end this video off is that at least the power creep in JJK is not as bad as any other series I've seen in Shonen. It's not like Fairy Tail or Naruto or Bleach or Dragon Ball Z or so on. You could name 1,000 series where the power creep gets disgustingly bad. At the very least, JJK seems to be way more relative and far more tamed compared to other series, but we have to remember it's still an issue that's going on right now. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please do be sure to subscribe. I make a ton of JJK content just like this, so versus battles, power scaling videos, discussions on specific characters, what if videos, theory videos, and the whole bunch. So if you want to, do consider subscribing. And let me know what you guys think about power creeping and the state of grade 1 sorcerers as a whole, right? I think for the most part, we can all agree that the ancient sorcerers that we've seen so far are just next level, like Ishigori and Kashimo and Udo. I mean, I've seen, very rarely though, I've seen some horrendous takes saying that they're grade 1 level, which is laughably stupid. It's incredibly stupid. When I see people saying like Ishigori is grade 1 level or some shit, it's very, very mind-numbing to see. But I think for the most part, like 95 or like 98% of you guys have at least a good baseline understanding of how the power scaling works, so I want to hear what you guys think about this whole idea of the small power creep that's happening right now that not many people are talking about, or how grade 1 sorcerers, you know, they're kind of becoming fodder, you know, with all the strong characters that we've been getting introduced to. So yeah, I'd love to hear that in the comments. And that's pretty much all from me. If you've made it this far into the video, you're an absolute legend. Thank you for watching, and you're a part of the Higuruma fan club. And yeah, that's all. Take care and have a nice day wherever you are in the world. See ya.